Greetings again. I begin with, again, I'm here only to be truly helpful. I'm here to represent Him who sent me. I don't have to worry about what to say or what to do, for He who sent me will direct me. I am content to be here with you, which is where He wants me to be. And I will be healed and I will learn as I let Him teach me to heal and to learn. I'd like to talk to you today about the great plan. But the great plan encompasses not only rising to good, but also the contest with the not so good. So we will talk about the dark side of the superworld as well as the light. When the Creator created, the first and always lasting thing was and is duality, light and dark, good and bad, high and low, inside and outside. So that there is within each of us a dark side as well as a talent and the urge toward the light. In so doing, we're really obeying or reaching out to higher forces above us, because there are. There are forces of good and forces of evil. We are not helpless in respect to these forces. In fact, we are the ones who can allow them and enable them to express themselves on this earthly plane. And we do this by appealing to the forces of light. All of you who are looking at this mirror, Man in the Mirror program, are really seekers of the light. Otherwise, you wouldn't be looking at this in all probability. There are those who seek the dark through their search for selfish power, more and more for themselves, even pleasure and cruelty. And they, in so doing, are appealing to and enabling and making the forces of darkness greater. They say that, some say, that we shouldn't be talking about the forces of darkness, thinking we're enabling them, but I say that if we don't talk about them and recognize them, we are making ourselves more the victims of them. As it has been said, all that is necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men and women to say or do nothing. So it is important to recognize the forces of evil within ourselves. And in so doing, we're making them less by the very searching them out. Because darkness can't exist in light, nor can evil exist in that inner light of knowledge and desire for love. On the other hand, the forces of light are very strong and can be enabled and made stronger by cultivating our own goodness, by seeking out the resistances that we have to moving upward. And it's not so easy to move upward. We have to contend with and tolerate our egoistic, prideful, selfish, desire-driven impulses in order to seek and combine with the greater good. So there is in the superworld this combination of forces, angelic forces and forces of darkness. And I would appeal to you to lose your innocence, if you haven't, and be aware with your feelings and your intuitive selves, amongst other things, of those who are seeking the path of darkness. Along those lines, many who are on the path of darkness in this earthly plane are highly intuitive. I've met several psychopaths and been perhaps their victims, not even perhaps, truly. And I am so surprised to recognize in them, and generally, how intuitive they are. But it's intuition in the service of selfishness. And if you're aware that they are these agencies of darkness, these psychopathic personalities, if you recognize them, you're throwing light on them, and they can't do what they want to do to use you. But if you don't recognize them, then you become ready victims, especially those who are innocently angelic. And I'll bet there are a number of them amongst you all in this audience. So that's the forces of light and the forces of darkness in the super world, a part of the great plan. But I would say, as we look back over history, that despite the awful darkness that appears in this world at this time, in terms of the terrible suffering and destruction and terrorism, that the forces of light, both within us and around us, are stronger and will prevail, all the more so with our assistance. As we look back and look from back forward, we see that there is a gradual and increasing gathering of souls as the world shrinks into this global network, which is defined by the global internet and the global joining of souls and the great gathering on unified prayer days in order to create an alleviation of suffering and create the greater good.